Welcome to The Last Scare, a home for horror nerds to come together and gush about their favorite feel-good genre. I'm Jayla, this is Cam, and I'm also joined with Sabrina and Blake, and we're finally at the end of The Road to Rise, and we are talking about Season 3 of Ash vs. the Evil Dead. It's finally here. After this, we're at Rise.
So I've got a recap prepared, as always, and after that, we will launch into a discussion.
Welcome back to Ash vs. Evil Dead. This season is more convoluted than ever. Holy hell, just making this recap feels like a Herculean task.
I don't know much about this Evil Dead crap.
I'm gonna slim it down a good bit. There's a lot going on here. To start, Ash isn't just slashing deadites, now he's slashing prices at Ashy Slashy's hardware store and sex emporium. Too bad some other poor soul has already recently read from the Necronomicon. Soon after, Ash is confronted by someone claiming to be his wife. Our guy doesn't remember a certain booze-soaked night in Branson.
Good sex is 30 seconds followed by a cheeseburger.
Candy Bar introduces him to his daughter, Brandy Bar. Father's Day is gonna be awkward this year. Brandy learns that Hell is a teenage girl the hard way when her friend goes full deadite. Candy Bar loses her head a bit after Brandy's friend gives her a symbol of her ungratitude, and it's enough slices when Ash kills Rachel with a harp.
Suck on that, Harpo.
Ash gets yoinked into the hallway by the deadite mascot ready to show some school spirit. Luckily, Kelly returns to save the day along with some guy named Dalton, one of the Knights of Sumeria, a group of folks dedicated to fighting evil. Our favorite demon hunting crew is reunited and it feels so good. Kind of. Ruby Rodham Clinton drops some blood on the Ash prophecy in the Necronomicon and seems to get pregnant with her own little Ruby in the rough. She completes her pregnancy speed run with a convenient hitchhiker snack for her spawn. She admires her new mini-me created in Ash's image. Father's Day is going to be double awkward this year. So way back when, Ruby betrayed the other Dark Ones and took the Necronomicon. She teamed with a sorcerer named Kaya who tried to use the book, but it took her soul and bound her within it. Back in the present, Ruby takes the guise of a guidance counselor to manipulate Brandy. Pablo gets a naked lady jump scare and learns that he needs Uncle Brujo's magic to save him from his evil tats, which Dalton really doesn't trust. In the woods, Kelly and crew find the dagger, but Dalton gets Raimi-cammed. Kelly finds him impaled and he claims it was Pablo that did it. Anyway, he goes bad and Pablo takes him down. However, Pablo does go demon mode just as Dalton warned. Brandy goes in for the kill with the Kandarian dagger. He wakes up in the ancestral plane and sees Uncle Brujo, who does a ritual to turn Pablo into El Brujo Especial. He wakes up in the real world, and Kelly finally kisses him. God, that sexual tension was becoming unbearable. Ash meets his offspring, complete with his own cute little fucked up chainsaw hand. How utterly grotesque. Baby Ash decapitates a lady chained up in Ruby's place and crawls all up in her, using her body as his own. Ash shoves a bowling ball up the ass, ties him up, and throws him in the trunk. Brandy finds Ash at the hardware store, and Ruby continues to gaslight them that she's not an evil demon. He opens the trunk, and Ruby takes baby Ash. Kelly blows Ruby up, but Humpty Dumpty puts herself back together again, and Kelly ends up with the dagger in her tummy. Ruby finally has a vessel for Kaya's spirit. The Knights of Sumeria show up on Ash's doorstep looking for the book. They find the cellar wall under the hardware store and realize they can open a rift between worlds. Pablo works his magic and lets a guy through, but he comes back as John Carpenter's The Thing. Pablo sees Kelly in the portal, who clues him in on Ruby stirring up trouble. Ruby's baby Ash respawns fully grown and saws off his janky-ass chainsaw flesh hand. At the school dance, he slashes a couple kids, then does a disappearing act when the cops show up, leaving our real Scream King to take the blame. All hell breaks loose when Ashy Slashy crashes the party to go full carry right in front of Brandy. After he finishes the dirty work, he swaps out with the real deal, who unwillingly thrusts his chainsaw into Ruby, adding some extra spicy trauma. Pablo arrives a little late to the party, but isn't fooled by Kelly's body being used as a puppet. Just when he thinks things might be getting better, he runs into the evil twin, but is able to hold him off just long enough for the doors to open to a big send-off for our evil pal. Sore loser Ruby starts to show her true colors and frustration, but has the guts to make a Hail Mary dagger toss, which nails Brandy in the back, sending her to the Deadlands. The bleak landscape is haunted by a shadow monster, dragging the knight's victims to hell. But before Brandy gets claimed, Dalton returns to drag her to safety. Ash whips up a plan to use the rift to free Kelly and Brandy. They'll need a body for things to work, but they don't even bother to double-check the body they grab to take down into the cellar. Somebody has to grab the gals, and Ash is ready to take a dagger to the heart, leaving Pablo on his own in the real world to deal with the wrong body gone deadite. But he manages to shake things up. Ash has no problem finding the gang in the Deadlands, and thanks to Dalton's heroic sacrifice, he completes a seemingly swift rescue that still leaves Kaya behind in the Upside Down. IRL, Kaya is growing tired of Ruby having emo hours staring out the window while the Dark One's arrival looms over them. She brings Knight of Sumeria Zoe to help, and they use her skin to make a final page for the Necronomicon. Ash intervenes, demanding Kelly's body back, and they demand the location of the rift. Ruby destroys Ash's chainsaw, which personally I thought was really mean. Pablo treks to the cellar to find the rift already open, so he tries to shut it down, but he can't, and the town is already getting possessed. Brandy gets a call from her dead mom and gets her thumb bit off. This little abomination shows itself, and she destroys it. The Dark Ones show up and put Kaya in her own body, which they then kill along with Ruby's. They put the missing pages in, finally completing the Necronomicon. Now look, I know we've said before that all hell breaks loose, but this time we mean it. We've got a truly huge demon loose in Elk Grove. Ash catastrophizes about his role in all this, but Brandy motivates him to get off his ass and kick Evil's ass. Down in the mines, Ash reveals that he's kept Linda's necklace all these years, believing it would keep him safe, and so he gives it to Brandy. Pablo hops through the rift and brings Kelly back to life, and they get to smooch again. That's nice. They all snap into action, fighting the evil dead along with the military. Ash embraces his destiny and sends the squad away so he can face his demons alone. He gets in a tank and accidentally mows down Pablo's food truck. He doesn't really know how to work this thing. Luckily, it only takes one good shot to take down the demon. The Knights of Sumeria take him in and give him a Star Wars hand, as well as a sexy sideboard sidekick and a freshly souped up Delta to take on the Dark Ones in this new post-apocalypse.
That was fantastic.
That really was.
That was probably the most entertaining it's been. Do you write these? Everything that you say in these?
Jayla and I co-write them.
That was a really good one. There were a lot of jokes in the beginning that I was like, shit, that was really well done.
Yeah, we put a little more jokes into this one.
It was a hard one.
It was hard. It was very hard to slim this season down.
You really simplified an extremely convoluted season.
Season 3 was kind of wild. There's a lot more going on the last 2 seasons. A lot of good, a lot of stuff that I'm not too sure about. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to Sabrina, and I just want to hear your thoughts on it real quick.
There's so much that I love, but like something that really stood out to me that I really loved was just like the introduction to Brandy. Like I just loved knowing that Ash had a daughter, and that like he gets to play the father role and everything, even though he like didn't know about her. I would like to see her again after the after effects of how season 3 ended, how Ash vs. Evil Dead ended. I want to see more of her because like I feel like they could do something with that. Everything else was like a lot of, not that it was a complicated season, but there's just so much shit that happened. But like that definitely was like the big standout to me. I would say it was just like learning more about our beloved hero. I'm a simple gal.
I like that he spent most of the season traumatizing Brandy because she had no idea what kind of world she was jumping into.
I mean, that's Ash, though.
It is Ash, and just all the blood that he splatters on her, that's just got to be really shocking and traumatizing.
I loved how like he was so like gung-ho about being a dad.
Yeah, he didn't really seem to be too bad of a dad.
Yeah, he was actually excited about connecting with her, which I thought was really sweet.
Yeah, he wasn't like a total deadbeat.
No, not at all. He was a bit oblivious for sure, but he was very like, I want to connect with her. I don't know how, but I want to.
I think if he knew about her since day one, I think he would have been like the kick-ass's dad like ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree. Blake, what are your thoughts on this one? I know it's a convoluted season. I know there's a lot going on, but how do you feel about it?
I liked it. I know there isn't a single season of the show that I didn't like, and this, I mean, they're all pretty on par with each other. It's just I feel like each season gets more and more story heavy, which of course is never a bad thing, but everything with Pablo finally kind of paid off this season. I found it a lot more interesting than I did in season 2. The stuff with the rift and like you said, the upside down, that was a lot that was a really entertaining kind of side quest that they had to go through, and I love the finale to this. Like, it was unfortunately canceled, but even then, I love how it ended. I love the giant monster in the city kind of trying to take control of everything, and I think one of my favorite scenes in the show is Ash giving that necklace to Brandy. Just, it came full circle from that first movie, and of course he's just like, I missed your whole life and I got you into this. I'm sorry. So this will protect. I mean, he really thought he was gonna die. I totally believe that was a sacrifice mission for him to take himself down with the monster, which is like, that's Ash at the end of the day. He'll take all this burden no matter what, but as soon as it starts affecting people he cares about, he's like, okay, we're gonna finish this once for all. And God, that little evil baby Ash, that fleshy chainsaw hand just disgusts me. I hate that thing so much.
Everything about that, like, disgusted me. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't ever need to see that in my life.
I forgot about that one scene with the woman, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was another thing where I was like, this is pure Evil Dead, and it is something.
We're going tree all over again.
There was no logical reason for the fleshy chainsaw hand, and that's kind of why I love it, is because it's so unexpected. It's so uncomfortable to look at, and yet it just feels so right.
I don't know. I think of that detail, like, as a baby, we probably wouldn't 100% known if that was, like, supposed to be baby Ash or not.
Yeah, that's why I know the writer's room was like, oh yeah, this evil baby Ash is going to have a fleshy chainsaw hand because he has the chainsaw at birth. And someone piped up like, that doesn't make any sense logically, and they're like, yes, good, just checking. Let's do it. Let's run with it.
Perfect. That's what we want.
This is Evil Dead, guys. Who cares?
Did anyone else notice like a bump in production value, or is that just me?
I did. It looked a lot better. The visuals.
Yeah, the visuals, the practical effects, like, it was a huge jump. What makes me even sadder that this was canceled, because like they were really going somewhere with it.
Yeah, usually with final seasons, if the studio or whatever knows that they're on their way out, they cut their budget, which is always a shame. But with this one, I feel like their cancellation came so late. They were already like, shit, we were really kind of bumping the show up to be the next big thing, but it was kind of doomed to begin with, being on Stars. So it's one of those things where you hear a show is like coming out and you're excited for it, and then you hear where the show is going to be airing or streaming, and you're like, shit. That's kind of how it was with Stars. That's how a lot of things are with sci-fi. They have amazing shows that they just get rid of prematurely.
Because, like, a lot of people don't watch certain platforms that they're on, because, like...
That's why, man, Netflix could have came in and swooped it up, but... I mean, I actually think, in hindsight, given our Road to Rise series, it worked out. And they have a good home right now.
With Netflix, though, it makes no sense. Because, like, they'll save shows that are like, why that?
Yeah, Netflix does the same thing, so it's really, what can you do? They're back on the big screen. I think that's all that matters.
As convoluted as it was, or as kind of like out there as it was, I do feel like season 3 is where they were really finding their footing compared to... I love season 2, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I really do feel like season 3, they kind of had a little bit more going behind them. But Cam, what do you think about it?
I think they could have used about 5 more episodes to fit all the story that they had going on. It's very fast-paced. The editing is very fast. Like, every shot is like 3 seconds at most, which is something I discovered editing that recap together. It's very quick. Everything is happening very fast. It's a lot to deal with. I think Blake said last week that season 2 was easily the best of the show, and I definitely agree with that at this point. Much like Evil Dead 2, for me, is the best movie. I think there's something about those second entries that works for me.
Season 3, I wouldn't say it was particularly weaker. I just feel like I enjoyed season 2 and what it brought to the table as far as story. I really admire season 3 for its production value. I admire it for, like, feel like it had to step up a little bit. But there's something about season 2, like with the Asylum episode, or the Ashy Slashy situation, or when they were trying to get the car back.
No, because season 3 got so much more complicated and, like, deeper.
Season 2 kept its, like, Evil Dead roots.
Exactly. I remember the episodes a lot more when it comes to season 2 than 3. Season 2 is more memorable.
Season 2, it felt like a love letter to the franchise. Like, you had Henrietta, you had Cheryl, you went back to the cabin for the final time. Like, it was just like, this is a throwback to Why We Love Evil Dead.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go back to the cabin in season 3 because they did it with seasons 1 and 2. So a little disappointing, but they did a lot of stuff.
They did. A lot of stuff happened.
I wonder how long he was asleep at the end of Ash vs. Evil Dead before he wakes up with the cyborg arm.
That's pretty unclear. I don't know if they've ever said that. It's not like they really need to. If they ever go somewhere with it one day, then they can figure it out. But it's just like, in the very distant future.
At this point, I reckon Brandy and Kelly and Pablo and everyone are dead.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, you'd assume, unless they were taken too.
Ooh, that would have been interesting for season 4 if they took, like, his crew with him.
That's what I always assumed, but there's nothing that really indicates that.
When we get the animated series.
I hope so.
He goes and finds them. They would do that. I could see them doing that.
They have said it is in active development at the moment.
I feel like they have a really solid plan for it, and they're like, Rise is coming out, let's just see. Let's see if the demand for Evil Dead kind of... I mean, look at the reviews already. I feel like the demand is going to be there.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to say it, because somebody even asked him that. They were like, is your story ever going to continue? He's like, oh, let's see. He kind of just directed it back to Rise right now, because I think it's because he's, so passionate about it.
He's like, this isn't about me right now. If you guys like this movie, maybe. But we'll see.
Yeah, Sam Raimi sent Bruce a picture of Ash and Mia together and said, hit the gym, lardass.
Raimi, don't give me hope.
That actually gives me way more hope than it should.
He said something else, too, recently about Sam Raimi. He's like, oh, if he was the one to direct it, then he would come back.
Yeah, he did say he would come back if it was Sam Raimi directing, which, like, that's a no-brainer.
There's too much going on. It's giving me too much hope.
Man, if we got one more Raimi Evil Dead, I wouldn't be okay.
I know.
I would lose my mind. I even now, I can't believe we made it to the end. We've made it to the end of Road to Rise.
We're finally here. We get to see it tonight, and we are buzzing with excitement.
I'm just like, I have butterflies.
We have to wait till next week to see it.
Next Sunday is when we'll see it. I'm dying.
It feels really rewarding that, like, we've, got a chance to gush about Evil Dead and really, like, examine the series as a whole to, like, celebrate a new entry. Because I didn't even expect this to go to theaters, and now we get to see it in theaters. We see excitement across the board with horror fans for this, and just makes me feel really hopeful, really excited that, the best horror franchise is still going.
It's precious that you guys are waiting to see it together. I love that.
It is adorable.
Well, I mean, he's the one who really got me on it, so that's why I'm like, it's only fitting.
Yeah, she's like, I'm like, I could wait a week. It's not like we're waiting several months, and I'm like, it's just going to be better.
Because I was only going to see it for a couple days, and then he was just like, and then we just pushed it to a week, and he's like, Rise, and I'm like, oh shit, that's right, it comes out like a couple days like after I'm with you, so.
Wow. Man, do you guys have any other thoughts on season 3? I feel like there's not too much to say.
Or any final Evil Dead thoughts
any
at all,
final
because this is the end of the road.
Yeah, it's your time.
I just love this franchise. I'm glad. We all really got on board with this franchise at the same time. Like, me and Jayla knew of it ahead of time. We started this channel and got so much more into it. We got Cam and Sabrina as 2 newcomers into the franchise, which was a lot of fun to see. Just like, what'd you think your first time on Evil Dead? Where do you think the story is going to go from here? It was exciting.
Yeah, this has been a really fun trip for me.
Yeah.
And next time you see us, we'll be changed. We'll be new people.
My final thoughts is I can't die peacefully until I still see Ash's like complete story.
Yes, until they continue that damn future thing.
Yeah, it left me wanting a bit more.
Yeah.
But I hope that bit more is on the big screen. Just one more.
Just one more hoorah.
And Ash is a character who I don't really mind getting, like, old and fat. It's not sad to me. For Ash, it works.
Because he is just this average guy. Like, the prophecy thing aside, he's just, he was this kid that was thrust into this.
He ages like a fine wine. I mean,
He really does.
Yeah, he still looks good, so.
So
Oh,
we
yeah.
all agree that Bruce Campbell is hot.
he's hot.
Can confirm in person, too? Yes.
Can confirm.
I think he can swing one more movie.
Oh, of course.
I think he can do it.
Absolutely.
I believe in him. We believe in you, Bruce.
We believe in you, Bruce. I hope you see this and know that we love you.
If there's anything that, like, again, like, seeing him at, like, a local show taught me was that, like, a lot of people love him and, like Evil Dead and everything. So it's like, if he's waiting to see, like, oh, I don't know if people want... No, everybody fucking wants that, I promise you.
Everyone.
Like, half the questions last night, they're like, yeah, we're excited for Rise, but, like, what about you? And, like, I understand, because right now it's not about him, but, like, I feel like him being a part of this is still, like, you know, like, poetic, because, like, you know, he still wants to be involved in it, because he started it. But, like, I don't know, maybe he'll see, and he's like, you know what, maybe one more time.
They're in an interesting situation, too, because, like you said, people love him. Evil Dead is still, like, a kind of one of those cult classics. Like, it's not up there with Freddy and Jason as it should be. But if you think about it, Evil Dead hasn't been in the mainstream line of sight almost ever. I mean, the Evil Dead remake was huge for the time, but then it just, like, you know, it was the remake and it didn't get a sequel until here we are 10 years later. And the TV show just wasn't, unfortunately, that big. Rise is getting this huge, movie theater release. It's getting amazing reviews. I'm sure people are going to tune in and more fans are going to join Evil Dead. It's just going to take off.
This is going to sound like a weird comparison, but it's like when The Force Awakens came out. Because for, like, years, there was not really a Star Wars movie for, like, 10...
And it's gonna revitalize that
Yeah.
fandom quite a bit.
No,
Yeah.
because, like, yeah, everyone was always Star Wars fans. Like, oh, yeah, Star Wars. But, like, when they announced, like, the new movies, everyone was like, oh, my God, Star Wars. Because even I was like, oh, my God, first freaking movies in the last 10 years. And, like, it just revamped everything. And I think that's what it has to take. So... maybe that's what gets him to be like, okay, fine, fucking let's do it. Because you see that a lot, though. With the whole legacy characters and everything. Like, they're doing it for everything.
And their new characters are genuinely good, too. Like Mia, Kelly, Pablo, Brandy, and hopefully in this new movie, too.
I think it'd be cool if somehow they could do everybody.
Oh, yeah. That's the dream.
That's the dream.
That is the dream.
One final movie, bringing them all back, led by Ash.
No Way Home, Evil Dead style.
Oh, my God.
Fulfill the prophecy.
Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are so fundamental to my love of film and my love of horror, because I grew up with the Spider-Man movies, Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and then when I was really getting into horror, Evil Dead was right there. So, like, Sam Raimi had two parts of my love of film, and it's just so special to me, and I've only grown to love this series more with taking a deep dive from a new perspective, going through this entire franchise, and I'm so happy to see that it's still going strong and people still love it and people are getting introduced to it, and those people that are getting introduced to it are just excited too. It's really special to me. I do think it's the most consistent horror franchise, if you ask me, as far as, you know, good movies, good sequels. There's not any that's like, this is terrible.
Like, that's the bad one, avoid that one. There's nothing like that.
Exactly. It's so special because of that, and like the personal connection I have to this. I feel ecstatic right now. I'm so excited.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter if you have Twitter. We're at Last Scare, and everyone's handles will be on the screen in front of their beautiful faces. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. Helps boost us up in the algorithm and find like-minded people who will also like to gush about their favorite feel-good genre.
But don't fear if you enjoyed this and you've watched all of our other videos, because just like Stu, we'll be right back.
I'll be right back.